right? And all of these players had like history, pedigree, etc. If I were to explain Globby to like the people covering promo tournament that didn't cover the OQs, I would be like, I'm with you, bro. Like,
what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Salt Mine. This is Season 6, Episode 7, if I'm keeping track correctly, and it appears that I am. As we don't have too many new games to talk about, but we do have an upcoming promotion tournament, and we do have one more very impactful game to discuss for the last week of the NACL. So, gotta try to get a quick one out there. My name's Gordo. I'm joined by Slayer and Quax. Slayer, you're back on cam, brother. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And
Heartstuck
Casterlow coming in with our second match tomorrow. So make sure to tune
you're
in for
moving
that
again?
one. That's gonna be
because I was a picture before, so now I'm.
Oh, okay. I thought you, because I was like,
moving.
you just moved to LA. So I got real confused for a moment. I was like, you're done already? Damn.
he's out of
That
there.
city must. I mean, from what I've heard, LA is like really hard to live in. It's a great place to like vacation to, but very difficult to make like a permanent residence. So
Can confirm.
yeah. Minnesota's great though, guys. Just in case you were ever thinking for the like maybe I don't know one person that ever considered moving to Minnesota that's watching this video. It's pretty cool here. I like it. We got a lot of lakes.
You do. Chicago's okay. I'm not gonna make a big pitch here. But yeah, let's get started. Let's talk about ACL to kick things off. Which only had one series. I didn't even realize we were gonna have like one series weeks in this playoffs, but I guess we do. As Supernova and Blue Otter played off against each other, and it was a 3-0 for Blue Otter. So once again, we owe Blue Otter an apology.
An apology.
And I'm realizing only in this very moment that we talked about having Bully on for an episode and then just never followed.
Oh shit.
Well, listen, hey. There's more time for him to show up after more success for Blue Otter.
True.
It's not out of the realm.
Bully, now we're
like,
altering the deal. You gotta beat conviction now.
And pray we don't alter it further and make you beat LG. Make you qualify for LTA.
Wouldn't that be a story? That would be insane. I mean, honestly, to kind of kick off the discussion here, if nothing else, like this should prove that every single one of these Blue Otter players is actually like worth looking at for, I would say a majority of these players are worth looking at for tier 1 organizations, even as like a sub. If you want to take it a little bit slower, like Kryra, man, this guy, if I don't see him in the LTA within, and he keeps up this performance and I don't see him in the LTA within the next year, I'll be really disappointed, because I think that this guy is legitimately the best jungler in NACL behind like Tomio possibly.
Yeah, I think Kryra is so fucking sick. I've thought Kryra is sick for forever. Feels like the whole tier 3 scene is kind of doing a big victory lap for Kryra here. And rightfully so. I mean, this is still a player who has yet to start an NACL split. So maybe this will be the split where that can get fixed. Because, geez, man, like, how many times can we make this mistake? Get this guy on a roster. For the love of God. Do you know how much more I would love Luminosity if they had Kryra as their starting jungler? Like, no hate to Tomio. I don't mean to call him out as an individual.
Tomio's kind of funny sometimes. Like he can be like a nice bit of levity from what I've heard on the team. And Kryra is very like direction focused. Like I think that man is locked in every single time in the comms that we see him. And I can imagine that LG have like 4 other extremely locked in players. So maybe it's just like a gelling thing. Personally, for me, though, like, I don't even think Kryra is the only one. Like, I think the Samikin stocks are once again doing their rise. And frankly, I know a lot of people, when they look at a player like Samikin and they think tier 1 organization and kind of the correlation that it might one day have, they get a little bit jumpy, because obviously Samikin does have a style, right? And that style is mages. So being that guy who hasn't been known to flex out of his comfort zone, I think could be something that turns off teams. I do wonder if we're ever going to see him flex away from that, because even though whether they've been doing well or whether they've been, not performing, he's stayed relatively the same. So I wonder if, Evolve might actually push him there, because I know Evolve likes to skirmish a lot in the laning phase and be a little bit more up in your face than your average mid.
I think Samikin's just a goated best of 5 mid if we're gonna keep Fearless around forever. I mean that's just
Yeah, I think Fearless favors that, man.
Yeah, he just what does he end up pulling out? Like he gets some Mel reps earlier on in this playoffs. I guess Fearless doesn't really need to be flexed when you 3-0. And don't worry, guys, it was an expedited 3-0. There was no pause happening within this game, so there's none of that going on. We expedited it. It's just awesome. It's awesome that we have Blue Otter Summer again. Romp Stomp, all that up again. And if they can beat Supernova, why can't they beat Conviction, right? I do think this is a very fun matchup on paper because we know how crafty Conviction could get with their drafts. If you missed anything, go watch the Viper Riven bot game that they end up winning, right? Like they will get crazy, I'm sure. And Blue Otter, like we talked about with especially Samikin's champion pool, also Kryra's champion pool. Well, really their topside's champion pools, actually. I think have a lot of expression in them. I hope this series is not a sweep, no matter who it is, mainly because I want to see this go into a Game 4 Fearless setting and hopefully a Game 5 Fearless setting, because we could see some very, very wild drafts come in for our lower bracket final.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Conviction as a team are extremely scrappy, right? Like, I think that there are some teams that are afraid to fight in the NACL and oftentimes will stall out to the last possible moment until they're sure they can actually win. Conviction are more than happy to flip, because I think that this is probably the most mechanical team in tier 2. Like, I think as far as hands go, I would probably rank them highest. The big catalyst to that, though, or the one that I think exemplifies that the most, is definitely Viper. Like, even when he's not on the Riven, right? He's not doing this crazy shit. I think Viper and Stunt, it's been a huge story for these two, or a huge underrated story, because I haven't heard nearly as many people talking about these two. Go back to what we thought at the start of the split. We said, all right, Conviction, this top side, pretty solid. Bot lane, though, I don't know about that, right? And frankly, they've probably been the most consistently dominant part of this team. Like, I think that Blade and Perry have been doing a really good job at being stabilizing pieces, especially Perry. I think that's his greatest trait as a player, is being able to kind of lead the charge and always have that consistency. But like, he is always there for bot lane, right? Like, Viper and Stunt can be a little bit flippy at times, but it's his presence that I think constantly tilts the scales in their favor. So it's going to be, for me, a question of how Array and Rovex are actually going to be able to pilot this matchup, because I have no doubt in my mind that Kryra will be able to, at the very least, contest with Perry, and maybe have a little bit more of that X factor that Perry does not. But I don't see how that would play into the greater ability for Blue to actually win this series. So I would probably favor Conviction, just simply because I think that they have more angles. But I mean, honestly, you could see this as like a reverse jinx, where I'm voting against Blue Otter just because I want to see them win again, because everyone's low on the Otters, frankly, and they have proven time and time again that they are actually the team to watch.
Yeah. I think mid lane is like the wild card, right? Because it's like Samikin's like a completely different player. Yeah. And I guess you could chalk it up to best of fives if you want, but game 1 and 2 of a best of 5 should just be the same as it is at a best of 3, and yet he performs completely differently anyway. Been a hell of a week for... I still need to come up with a name for these guys, but whatever Samikin, Cupic, and Season of Leaves is like champion pools are, like these guys who play...
The Mage Men.
Yeah, Talia, Hui, Zoe, Lux, Seraphine, Mel... Like, they all play root plus AoE damage spell champions. Morgana.
Well, they could go. We could just call them the VTuber trio, because doesn't Samikin, when he streams, have like he doesn't show his face or his cam. He has like a profile picture of himself or something, like a drawing over the map as his cover.
Season of Leaves have that?
Season of Leaves, I think, well, we don't know what he looks like, right?
We don't need to. It's a child.
And no, we don't. But like I think it's also just like he has like a picture of himself or like a drawing of himself as his profile picture, and then like obviously Cupid is a VTuber. So
yeah.
Well, Sammy can.
I would.
Okay, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
down to say VTuber, the VTuber trio or whatever. I need a better name than them.
Yeah, I mean, like Sammy can correct me somewhere. He can reach me easily, but yeah,
Aren't the VTubers the ones that move though? I don't know. I don't think his moves when he streams. I think it just lights up when he talks.
I think that counts.
I think that counts.
Does that count?
I think that counts. Yeah.
We're over here
Dude,
discussing
let's just
what
say
constitutes
this, right?
as what the definition of a VTuber is.
I cast like a small community like VTuber tournament a couple months ago, and they instead of using our cams, they had us use this little applet. And my VTuber was just a picture of Gromp sitting still and a picture of Gromp with its mouth open, and it would switch when I talked. And that counts. That counts as VTubing to me.
All right, fine.
I think that counts.
All right. The VTuber trio.
Is that the active verb, by the way? VTubing, is that what it means to have?
Yeah,
I think so.
We are not equipped to answer these questions.
If you're a VTuber, then clearly while you're doing it, you're VTubing. Yes.
Maybe we can get the what the fucku girl to help us out. I can DM her on Twitter because I know that she constantly like talks to people on Twitter. She never understands what you're saying, but who knows? Maybe I can work something out.
Work what out? Do what?
maybe she'll notice me.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. I'll be like mid beast, right? Like I don't want to be like mid beast where I'm fucking desperate for a VTuber. Because dude, that guy. Do you guys watch Synapse? Like, do you watch the highlight reels?
I do not, but I do see mid beast's videos occasionally.
Well, so the running joke is that Midbeast only gets his clips highlighted when he looks like a fucking idiot. And so like there's maybe a 5% chance that he'll like be trying to talk to some like Japanese VTuber girl, fumble it, and then they'll cut off at a funny point. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know what benefit the video had for me sharing that, but there you go. I'm padding the runtime for you.
There you go. But anyway, on to Blue Otter against Conviction. The lane I'm worried about for Conviction is top lane because Quacker.
I feel like we always say this.
This
though.
is an
like,
all-time.
Do we not always say this?
This is an all-time unretired run from Quacker. Like, I don't know why this is like his best. This is definitely his best playoffs run ever, and it's got to be up there with one of his better splits now. Like he's been so good against both Supernova and Dark Zero now that it feels very difficult to argue that, like, or to feel confident in any top laner going up against him.
Nothing against Blade, but I think that if Quacker is able to hold his own against Hoarder and K, I do not doubt his ability to be able to do it here. Like I think that Blade is a player that really runs on empty sometimes, depending on what champion you give him. Like he tends to play a little bit more aggressively than other top laners, obviously. Like he's a very lane dominant player, which is reflective of his team style, right? But they'll occasionally give him champions that just don't really service the greater part of the game or greater part of the draft outside of the first 14 minutes. And I think that Quacker is the ultimate king. You know, we talk about like the Phillips of the world. We talk about like the Fake Gods of the world. These guys that are able to like sterilize and stalemate lane. A Quacker is, in my opinion, the best at doing that. So I think that if he wants to, he can very easily just handshake lane with Blade. And Blade isn't going to like that because I think Quacker knows how to be more effective outside of the laning phase than Blade does.
Are we getting our top laner switched up? I feel like Quacker's the opposite of this type of play style as a top laner. I feel like Quacker's the most volatile handshake top laner, and then he tries to snowball out of lane. Or I don't know. I've never thought of him as a neutralizer. I don't really think that's his game.
I think he has the ability more so than other
leads.
top laners, though.
I don't know. I mean, like on the one hand, it's like I think this playoffs run has been like I agree for most of his career. Like I think for most of Quacker's career,
guess
I've thought
it's
of him
been-
as
yeah,
like the
it's been a
Olaf Darius
switch.
guy going for solo kills and shit. But like this run, I feel like the most like notable Quacker games are like had some insane Shen performances.
Yeah,
Which
like
of course
Shen
going back and
is
playing the map.
there.
And then it's like there's that Yorick game where he goes 0-0-3, but he basically solo carries the game 5 against Dark Zero
Mhm.
by like 1v3ing in the side lane, pulling pressure and like creating
That's
which
what I'm
I guess is
saying.
kind
Like,
of laner behavior. You know, it's a macro win for Blue Otter, but for Quacker in particular, maybe that's a little bit more laner traditional behavior. And then the other one would be that Mordekaiser game in Game 3 against Supernova, where he's just like ulting people out of fights and is having massive impact that way.
mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, like I agree
mean,
by
I don't
and large
really-
with Quacker's identity being more lane focused, but this run it feels like he's been a lot more of a like
But I think it's hard
diverse
to use
macro
the
piece.
definition. I think it's harder to use I think it's harder to use the term hands check. Like the Shen, Mord, Yorick, like these are champions, obviously, that like can just kind of beat the shit out of you. But I feel like they have purpose outside of being able to dominate lane. Like Mordekaiser can just eject you away from a fight. Cassante could do the same, and we know that Quacker also is a pretty big subscriber of the Cassante play, despite getting nerfed over and over again. And then obviously, he can go a little bit more aggressive. Like I think the Olaf is probably his most like hands checky pick. But even there, like I think that one of Quacker's best things on the Olaf is side laning. And then when he is a part of a team fight, he just applies pressure by Ragnarocking and running into the back line. Right. So I think that he is capable of snowballing, but the biggest thing is how much pressure he pulls. And that comes from lane, I think. And being able to allow Blue to do other stuff.
I love how Quax described how Quacker plays Olaf team fights, and it's just like actually how everyone's supposed to play an Olaf team.
Well,
fight.
how you're supposed to. Yeah, that's
like
fair. That's
Quacker
fair.
plays Olaf by propping guard running at the back line. I'm like, if my Olaf isn't doing that, then I don't want him on Olaf anymore. No, but I think you brought up a really good point, Quack. I think he has kind of I think he has adapted his play style
He's
a
a
bit more to be
versatile
a little
weapon.
less aggressive in the lane. I think he's I think this is the
Kyle
least
Pitts.
coin flippy. I think this is the least coin flippy that I've seen Quacker from lane be in a split, and it's benefiting them in playoffs a lot. I do think he still has that edge though. Like, yeah, you can be really annoying in lane with Shen, like trading patterns, especially in auto attack reliant champions. You can be very annoying in lane as Yorick as well, just like spacing. Yorick's a little more predicated on getting level 6 first, but like once you get outside of that, you're a very bad laning. You're very annoying to lane matchup against, and I do think it's gonna be interesting to watch how Quacker looks on, like you're saying, side lanes. Because if you still have the top lane matchup 1v1, it's kind of like that's when Quacker can kind of unleash himself a bit more and be a lot more of a menace in that sort of 1v1 scenario instead of the laning one. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I don't envy Quacker being Quacker right now for the pure aspect that I don't know where his head's at. Like, he doubled down that this was like the final run. For like because it's summer, he was like, I'm doing one more time with Blue Otter, and now he's had career-wise his best split I think ever.
Best on retirement all time, right there. I think like who's unretired better? Who's done it better than Quacker?
I just wonder, like, I wonder what his where his head's at. Like, what sort of marker does he and Blue Otter have to reach for him to decide like, maybe I should give this another shot? Like,
LTA.
I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in.
Here. LTA.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that could be, but again, like, remember, Quacker and Blue Otter, they've never gotten this far in NACL.
That's true.
And if they
How far
they
did
win
they
a
get
series,
last year again? They got
fourth.
to top
Fourth.
Okay.
They got
so
top
this is
4.
top 3. Yeah, they have beat their record.
Well, and even after that, maybe this is giving away what I think I think the series is going to go. But again, they 3-0 Supernova. So like, do you have them favored against Conviction? I would have them favored against Conviction. I know there's a lot of other variants to it. I mean, in layman's terms, all right, Gordo, I'll put it like this: if you watch them beat that Supernova roster, would you not at least have them with better odds to win against this Conviction roster? Like, in layman's terms.
like I'm sure the betting odds, and I hate to talk about the betting odds for NACL because it's a plague in this scene, but
It's bad. Yeah.
I think I think Conviction should be the favorites. I think
Yeah.
odds on.
I would
That's my
give it
answer
like
to that. I respect the momentum. I think it maybe it is the ball nowhere pick. Like watching both these series, to say, Blue's different than when they got 2-0'd by Conviction 3 weeks ago. Maybe that's the the bold play that fortune favors. But I think if you're setting the sportsbook odds, I think you should set Conviction as the favorite. I think
I would put
I think that's
Conviction
right.
as like a 70-30, honestly. Like that would be like my odds.
70-30.
Like,
that might be a
Yeah,
little shorter for Conviction, longer for Blue Otter than I would set it, but I think I would still favor. Like I would go like minus 150 Conviction or something.
Okay. I think Blue Otter. I think Blue Otter go to the finals. So I guess I'm just in a different. I think I'm just in a different
I mean,
spot.
I'm not saying I don't want Blue Otter to go to the finals, but if we're trying to be like realistic and foresee what's going to happen, I would favor Conviction, although slightly. Like I could totally see this going 5. By the way,
Yeah,
I think
mean,
that
we all
Blue
said the
Otter-
same shit about Super Devil last week, though. So
Yeah.
you got to give it.
This is literally parroting what we said a week ago. So, and we saw what happened. So I'll stick with my pick. You know why?
Yeah, I mean, this is also this is just literally a team that beat Blue Otter 2-0 3 weeks ago. So
We'll see. I think this matchup is most fun because I think the two best players on either team are their jugglers.
yes,
So
I agree.
that always makes for a fun series, especially early and often. Yeah, I'll take Blue Otter, but yeah, I don't. I mean, Quacker's got a tough decision because if you make NACL finals, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean this series.
Hopefully, you know what? Let's not focus on that. I'm sure Quacker might not be listening. We don't need to focus on that. I'm sorry for bringing that up. Go get the job done. You can worry about future
winner makes
decisions in the
promo
future.
tournament, dude. That's what makes this series. I think this should be the most exciting series of the year, really. It sucks that there's a lot of negativity swirling around Tier 2 fandom right now that we have contributed to, but this should be the most hyped series of the year, right? Like this is the best of 5 to get into promo tournament. I mean, unless there's a hype promo tournament series, of course, that maybe beats it. But
Yeah.
Well, for now, yeah, this should be.
yeah,
the
I mean,
most hyped
Conviction
series
versus
of the
Blue Otter
year.
for a spot in promo should be very hype. Yeah, I'm very excited for it either way. All right.
Yeah.
Well, putting that one to sleep, we can talk about another promotion tournament, which is going to be the NACL promotion tournament. We have our 4 teams. Cupid Esports and Lotus end up rounding out the promotion tournament. I was on vacation throughout this event, but I know you guys were there to round it out. At least Quax was covering it. I think Slayer
Yeah, I was
was.
gonna say I was.
Were
No,
you?
no. I mean, weekends.
I was with
are
you.
not
I
a
was with
reality
Whole.
for me.
I was
Yeah,
with
that's-
Orbital, Yanni, and Orbital.
I can tell you all about I can tell you all about the sports late of that weekend, Gordo.
I also can. I could tell it to you and all the money I lost. But yeah, not a good first week of the NFL season for me. But that aside, a good last week of the promotion tournament for Cupid and Lotus. I think, kind of chalk picks, I will not lie. But they should be plenty happy with it, as it does put them in a solid position to be able to potentially promote as they get themselves another shot. I mean, I think Cupid Esports is where I want to start, because you know what, what was the line that everybody had to say about Polestar, right? Is like, oh, this team couldn't even make top 16 in the promo tournament or whatever, right? Like that was a little bit of a bar that some folks took issue with and made a controversy. But now they do it, right? Like, au natural, they've qualified for the promo tournament by just, winning the open qualifier.
They show the improvement from slated 6 to now Cupid. I think that this roster has clearly improved. But I will also say, like, I think from now until when we saw slated 6 improve, I will say, I think that the strength of competition from that OQ was maybe a little bit higher than this one. Not discrediting the achievement, of course. Like I'm still extremely happy for the members of Cupid who have been, grinding with each other for the entire year, right, to get this far and get back to this point. But I mean, when your last opponents are a team called Flamingos, where you don't know most of the players, then I feel like, right, it's a little bit interesting to talk about pedigree and actual strength of competition. So going off of that, though, I agree. I think that Cupid are still a really solid team. I will die on the hill that I think Hub, when this team inevitably disbands, because nothing lasts forever, that they'll probably disband at some point, because that's just how it works. Hub will probably be my pick for, I'm going to be looking out at where he goes after that, because I think he has proven himself to be a super good AD carry. I think Tub as well, I can extend that courtesy to. I think this bot lane has been a really, really fun thing to watch for the Cupid /Slated6/Polestar team, and should totally continue to have a bright future afterwards. Hopefully all the players have a bright future afterwards, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely am still lacking a bit behind on the OQ slate. So I'm not the best one to bounce opinions off of. But well, I guess I have a question for the flip side of this promo tournament, right? With our relegated teams. I don't know if I use this buzzword, Gordo might start getting angry. But roster swapping rules, are we expecting like for example like CCG to be? Are they having to field that same roster to play these teams, or
I think
or can they
roster
switch
lock
around?
has passed. I think they are
Yes.
Okay.
fielding Crimson Music Young Shogo Fata-chan.
Okay.
Yep. As far as
I'm always in my head just trying to like compare. I mean that's the promo tourney dance, right? It's like comparing in your head, like how you think these matchups are gonna go. So I don't know. It's gonna be fun for. I like the hub shout from Quax there, because I think there are some very big Knights of the Gatekeeping realm here to try and show how much progress he's made in 1 year. Because it's
like
important to remember that the hub. Did we wait? Yeah. So I don't. We didn't see much of hub in 2024. Unless I'm mistaken. So this
Not
is
much.
all been.
He was on that Nanos Noobs team.
Yeah, he's Nanos Noobs, but
And that's kind of it.
So outside of that, this is what a year this has been for a guy like Hub.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been really fun to see
Hub.
his journey. And I mean, with that as well, I mean, if we're going to keep up with the trend of teams that have kind of, or players, I should say, that have stuck together for most of the year or are, famous for playing with one another, then I think we can talk about Lotus now, because again, right back to where they were a year ago. I mean, I brought this point up when we were casting them in the lower bracket, but Lotus disappeared for essentially 10 months, right? They only resurfaced for this most recent ACL, currently ongoing, of course, split. And then obviously this open qualifier, right? We hadn't seen them since their very narrow loss to Polestar in 2024 with that promotion tournament. And so obviously they kept Porsche, they kept Robbie Bob. And I am really impressed with this team. I have to be honest with you. Slayer, you were talking about the Knights of the Gatekeeping realm. And frankly, I feel like you look at the players on this team and they all kind of fit that bill in a little bit of a definition at some point. Like I think that Robbie is probably the most consistently performative mid in tier 3, and then I think the same can kind of be said for Porsche. I think that if you can't beat these guys, you personally should not be in tier 2. But as to their actual ability as players to get into tier 2, it's a little bit tough. I feel like I think that Chad in particular has really been overperforming over the past few days. Like this past weekend, the last weekend, of course, that we had the OQs, I think that he did really, really well. He had a really good Kindred game, which has been uncharacteristic of the pool that we had seen from him so far, where he had basically just been like this Xin Zhao Wukong Pantheon vibe merchant. He actually busted out some carry champions here and there, which was really fun to see. So So the big question I have, honestly, is like for this top side. Like this is a top side that I think has failed on multiple occasions to get to tier 2 or has not been to tier 2 in a really long time. Like Chad obviously had that respawned roster along with what we already said for Robbie and Porsche with that Lotus squad last year. The big thing that'll push it over the edge for me is gotta be Chrome, and it's gotta be Claritz, and obviously Chrome is tier 2 worldly. We'll have to wait and see, because I actually, like, if I'm thinking about their chances in my head, I kind of land on dead 50-50. I think that Vancouver impact spot is pretty up for grabs, and if I were to give a matchup to them in VI right now, it would be close in my mind.
Yeah,
talking about Lotus still?
Yeah, he's talking
Yeah.
about Lotus. Am I the bad guy for just like doubting a roster with some of these players in like a promo turn? Like,
No, I mean, I was on that train too until the last series.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't have a lot of classic promo tourney rising players in this promo tourney, which is the funniest thing.
I
right?
think it's Zenshin Gaming is the closest you're gonna get.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, it's like Cupic as kind of like, showing up well, looking like a real kind of NAAM prospect. Globby, of course, is the crazy breakout, like has so few games played competitively compared to everybody else in this event. That's going to be the crazy thing for me is like, you could probably just count on one hand, Globby's games against like relevant.
Sounds like a really fun thing to explain to people who haven't actually covered the promo tournament in the past or the OQs here, because I remember like a year ago when I think it was Mazel was in call with Grapes and Hawk, and he was asking about like narratives for the teams, and Grapes and Hawk, they were like spitting, right? And all of these players had like history, pedigree, etc. If I were to explain Globby to like the people covering promo tournament that didn't cover the OQs, I would be like, I'm with you, bro. Like,
yeah, I don't know,
he's
dude.
From New York.
A lot of these games were off stream too, man. There's not a lot of footage on this guy.
Tape diff. Yeah, there's a tape diff going on.
There's a big tape diff here for sure, and it's like, we know Barrick can be really good too, and we know Kim Down can be really good, and NXI, at least in like the tier 3 level, has often been very impressive.
NXI had a good series when we covered him against Lotus. Like,
yep.
I think he did really well.
I think so as well. I think they all did. And that's where like my concern for Lotus kind of comes up. We talked to Claritz a little bit after their series in Aegis yesterday, where they won 2-1 over Syndicate Eternal Season. And he mentioned that it's tough because he's playing with like 3 different 80 carries, right? He's like been playing with Sage Wabe and ACL this last week because Reptile hasn't been available. He's been playing with Reptile all ACL because that's their team, and it was formed while Chrome was still on Blue Otter. I bet he regrets how that went down right now, by the way. And Chrome has had limited availability because he's working, and of course there's time that they're spending with these other players. And Chrome is also spending time with Papa's Chunks, which is where he plays in ACL. So I do think like, it's just 80 carry, quote unquote, wink to Slayer, but it's
a spider
like,
web of fuckery.
It is still tough though. Yeah, like, it is a bit of roster fuckery that they're dealing with a little bit, and like Claritz mentioned, it is something that is somewhat challenging. And I mean, like yesterday, I'm going to be honest, the rest of Lotus, I feel like compared to Robbie Bob, did not quite show up the way you would hope. I think Robbie Bob was the big carry when I just watched Lotus playing ACL yesterday. This was without
They
Chrome,
fucking
of course.
Chad played Kha'Zix without me. I swear, all these motherfuckers play Kha'Zix when I'm not casting. Like,
they play your real favorite champion, Rengar.
Yeah, they played Rengar, and then he just started run. I had a lot of fun with that, by the way. That was really fun. I would just eat the mic and I would just shout Rengar quotes because he just ults and he just goes, focus.
Can't confirm that's what Quax is doing.
Yeah. But like, I think it's really cool to see that from Chad. Like, it's awesome to see him play Kha'Zix, play Rengar, play Kindred, right? And I think that that'll be maybe an ace up the sleeve that Lotus can play for jungle if they have to in the promo tournament. Now, against these better teams, I don't know how it's gonna go, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
we'll have to wait and see, because I think there isn't as huge of a divide from the upper bracket teams as there are from the lower bracket teams. Like, usually when you look at the promo tournament teams, like the lower bracket teams are kind of viewed as like a significant amount of pegs down the ladder compared to the teams in the upper bracket that managed to promote from there. This time around, I think the line is blurred a little bit more. Like, I could totally see AMI or Zenshin getting beat by Cupid or getting beat by Lotus. Obviously, I don't favor it, but I think the possibility is significantly higher than most other open qualifiers. And that's kind of the main question that I want to bring to you guys right now. Do you think that the overall level of the OQ teams this open qualifier is lower than what we normally see from qualifier teams?
Yes.
Okay.
I just think it was less deep. I don't think these top few teams are like not going to be able to be competitive with like Vancouver Impact, you know? Like, because obviously the last round of OQs produced Vancouver Impact, right? So, and it produced Citadel. And I'm not going to act like those teams, but in particular Vancouver Impact, I'm not going to act like is miles above these teams, because I don't think they are. But, you know, I think the fact that like Cupid plays Zero Animosity right before their qualification series.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Cupid plays Zero Animosity and Flamingos as their two non-AMI opponents. And, I just think that lends itself to being like a little bit easier of a bracket. So I think the journey here wasn't quite as challenging as it at times has been. You haven't had to play against as many high-quality teams as at times in the past, and I think some of that's also format, right? Like, good teams end up not as high-seeded, and they battle other good teams earlier, so the best seeds never have to play them like that. I think that contributes somewhat as well, right? Like, three of these teams are top 4 seeds. So, they get to have little easier journeys for that reason because of how highly seeded they are in the OQ. But it's, I think the talent level for the OQ as a whole is definitely a bit lower.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think it's just kind of a nature of the fact that, most of the, because you always come into like the top of the year with that first OQ. I'm not even talking about this year where we had like double lift and there's a bunch of slots that everyone can go get, right? Like, the top of the year, there's always like a group of, even if they don't make it the first round of OQs, there's a group of players that want to stick around, make another run, and then eventually get themselves into NACL. I think a byproduct of the fact that I think NACL feels like summer was its strongest split talent-wise, I would say. Like, especially knowing how Conviction ended up performing, which were like one of the question mark teams. It really felt like there was, even CCG when they underperformed, like that roster is still a talented roster with the names on paper. When you get that talented of an ACL, like the byproduct is the trickle-down effect is just that OQs can take a bit of a hit. So that's where we're at. The fun part about it is that it's opened up, like we talked about with Zenshin Impact here. Like, there are some players that will get in here and kind of get to just like take over.
Zenshin Impact?
Or did I?
It's Zenshin Gaming, but
but I like that.
Okay.
I like
my
Zenshin
brain.
Impact,
My brain
actually,
just threw the two teams
because Kupik is
together.
a VTuber. Because I'm gonna start calling them Zenshin Impact because I like that. I like that a lot. That's fucking funny. Thank you, Slayer.
I'm glad that my brain fart is somewhat useful because it really just felt embarrassing for me. My point being here is when you get all the talent at the top. Now I feel like I'm talking about capitalist economics. When you get all the value, the rich people, and then ACL, the trickle down economy. I mean, the trickle down effect is that there is more opportunity for players to kind of take over and use the OQ as like a huge boosting board. That like examples of that before, like I always go back to this is like Samakin with Aporia, right? Like
Right.
that's a huge name that did that. I'm blanking on. I mean, Kryra too, right? I even think
Even
Kryra
like
was able to do it.
even players like Cryogen, right? Like they were on like I think Clown or something like that. Like these
True.
teams that weren't super impactful in the grand scheme of actually looking at the scene and these super successful organizations, but they helped create like some super successful, super high prospect players. And I agree with you. Like
And we
I
talked
think
about
the
that a bit
trickle
last
down
week.
effect
Like I
is
think there's
awesome.
good prospects on like
We
this
did.
Royals team. I think there's good prospects on this Syndicate team, even though they don't end up making the run.
Flamingos as well. I think like I actually
Flamingos is
was
still
really
interesting.
like
Ducky Getters is still interesting. You know, like I think
I was
there's
so mad about Ducky Getters, man. Like I was not happy that they
yeah,
lost that early. Like
Prosperity,
I
Whole Milk. There's stuff to keep your eyes on for sure.
mhm.
I will say, by the way, just calling back to a point that was a little while ago now, I don't know that I agree that, like, I still think the winners bracket teams deserve more respect than the losers bracket teams. Just because Apex versus Cupid and Zenshi versus Lotus were both, like, pretty convincing series in my mind. Like, they looked pretty one-sided,
Yeah,
despite,
no,
like,
I was really surprised. We were really
I
surprised,
was
Gordo,
surprised at
Zenshi.
Zenshi versus Lotus going the way it did, but
Yeah. Like game
looked
number one, it
convincing,
looked like
man.
everything was fine, and then suddenly like Zenshi like go Super Saiyan and they just start demolishing Lotus. It was insane. And they were doing it in I think the most crazy ways too. Like I had never seen a Morgana mid, I think, in my casting career ever. And suddenly Kupik pulls it out, absolutely dunks on Robbie Bob. Like it's really cool to see the creativity from this team, which is why I think they'll be fun to watch if they do make it into tier 2. I think we have a lot of fun team. Like we were just talking about this, like Conviction play their style, right? And I think that Dorado are also kind of another team that have a style. Citadel as well are another team that have a style. So you've got these newer organizations coming in, playing their way. And I think that Zenshi could totally add on to that with their own flair because they are a team that I think plays very loosely and plays very unorthodox. And that's always super fun to watch in development leagues where you get to see the weird traits of these players and their very hidden strengths. And sometimes that gets brought out with Fearless, and other times I think it's just a product of other teams doing similar stuff and being more willing to play off meta picks.
Yeah, I completely agree. Zenshi's going to be my team that I'm really looking forward to covering, and hopefully I do, and they don't just get boomed out of the tournament. Because yeah, really, really looking forward to what this squad can show, rather than just having rematches of the last promo tournament, which, on the one hand, is probably a sign that promo relegation is kind of working how it should, in that if teams that get relegated are able to keep playing and then bubble right back up to the top and then continue to compete at kind of the break point. I would never say that this is a healthy scene, but I think that little aspect is a little bit of a positive health indicator.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also just means that people aren't forming new teams, which is also a little bit of an abnormality.
I mean, I think that maybe like individual teams, this is something that I've kind of been meandering about in my head for a little bit. Like maybe not new teams that are being independently run, but new organizations are actually popping up at a rate that I am pretty surprised, but pleasantly so.
Yeah,
Like for
Syndicate,
example, like
Milk.
Syndicate, Milk, right? Like Lotus obviously aren't new, but they're returning, which I think is still
Prosperity's
really
been
promising.
trying.
Prosperity, Ducky Getters, I would still put in that new category, right? They only really popped up in the last year or so. And not only are they existing, but they're fucking making deep runs. Like I talked about this in the Syndicate versus Lotus series. Like even though Syndicate got wiped in that, right? 3-0, the fact that you have essentially an organization who has never played in OQs filled with 5 players who have either not made it this far in OQs or also not played in OQs, like that is awesome. That is super duper cool. And I think that there is certainly going to be like a fun future for these organizations if we can just keep having stuff like that happening. And even Zenshin, right? Like Zenshin obviously are a new organization and they are going into the promotion tournament like first fucking try.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a so I think there's some stuff to be excited about here. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited.
Zenshi's my big hope carrier coming in
I would
towards
say it's Zenshin or AMI.
Mhm.
We haven't really talked about AMI, but they've obviously like this is kind of a similar situation to like Cupid. They've obviously improved. Church of Low Jazz Gang. We'll see. I'm
I don't know.
interested.
I'm cool. I love the progression of Retrozing. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, another guy. This is what makes this. This is what's gonna make this promontory so fun for me is that there's just a bunch of like guys that this might be flaming myself because I should be better educated with a lot of the players in tier 3, but that like I wasn't super keyed in on, and now I get to like learn about them as players on a bigger stage here in this promo train. Like I think I'm pretty confident like Gordo could probably attest. Like Retrozing's been in a lot of ACLs on some teams, like some lower level teams before. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he also played some collegiate. Or I don't want to start making things up.
I can't remember collegiate, but I think it's like the thing with Retrozing is he was all over the place on Kosa Gamers for forever.
Yeah,
It was a
right.
team that
So
was
exactly.
always not very competitive.
Yeah, so now, you just got some motion with this AMI team, and I think he's looked really good. And provides a lot different of a look compared to the millions of past for AMI. So that's why AMI is fun for me.
I mean, they had been sticking with their core for a really long time here, and the role the AMI mid is kind of like the T1 top laner, right? Or like formally because they stuck with Zeus for a really long time. But I mean, every year T1 would like find a new top laner, and I feel like every split AMI find a new mid. And it's been interesting to see the rotation, I think, of mids that have actually happened. Like on one hand, you had like Zalt last year, and then you had Fimony, and now you have Retrozing. And I think they all have similar styles, but I don't know. I really want to see Retrozing get up to that level, but I am also pretty high on Fimony as a player, especially because I think that he just improves every time we see him. So obviously AMI promoting in is a good indicator of his skill level and his ability to punch up, but I want to see them in the promo tournament first, is all I'll say.
I think that's fair. All right. Well, let's move over to Aegis ACL, and we will close out there. So 3 series have now been completed. I have news for you guys on a series that played while we were recording. So Milk Esports Whole Milk took a 2-0 over Citadel. That was on the Aegis stream. That was on the Salt Mine stream. Lotus took a 2-1 over Sin Eternal Season. That was on the Aegis stream. And Papa's Chonks just took a 2-1 over Gravity off stream. They were playing that separately. It says 1-1 on the sheet right now, but I can see Gravity tweeting 4 minutes ago that their season is over.
Damn, Gravity. I mean, they ran into one of the NACL teams.
It's to be expected. It doesn't make it hurt any less. Like I'm glad they took a game. I'm really happy about that.
Yes.
To be honest with you, like if it had been a 2-0, I would have been really sad. But Gravity should walk away from this split proud, in my opinion. They really overperformed in my eyes, and that is super cool to see. They fucking beat Whole Milk not once but twice, and Whole Milk are now in the upper finals. So there you go.
Yeah, I agree. I think
world.
Gravity deserve to have their run celebrated. I do think, we're getting down to the wire here, and we're running out of opportunities for non-NACL teams to upset these NACL teams.
I mean, dude, Papa's and Citadel are going to be in the lower bracket then, and that means that one of them is going to not be in the top 4, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or
correct, but that's like a cop out. It's, yes, the fact that Milk beat Citadel, which we'll get to in a second, feels a little bit like cheating. I will not lie, because they brought in Kisno for that series.
Yeah,
And
They
Kisno,
lost 2 bands though, bro.
dude,
Like
Kisno over Draxer. Again, dude, I feel like I talk shit on Draxer every episode. I love you, Draxer. You keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate what you bring to the league. But Kisno
You
over
know-
Draxer may be the greatest single player upgrade that we have seen in an ACL E-sub situation ever. Like,
100%.
you should have heard Yanni's
No,
and I's
no.
reaction.
Second biggest upgrade. I don't even remember the AD that they swap. Who did that CCG Glorp team swap out
Ninim.
for Scary Jerry? Yeah,
Ninim
Ninim for
for
Scary
Scary
Jerry
comes
might be
back.
crazy.
Ninim, bro.
That is crazier. I think
That is a little
crazy.
crazier. That is actually.
Who was the
you're right.
support too? Because it wasn't Zyko either.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. It was. Was
Hang
it?
on, let me
Bounty?
dig into the archives, boys. Continue the discussion. I'll figure it out.
Well, so I mean, realistically, I think that obviously Kisno is a huge upgrade. You should have heard Yanni's and I's reaction though. Like Ice FireEye was our producer. He gets into the lobby. He's like, and he was like reading off the names, right? He was like, oh yeah, I have Manui, I have Cryogen or Richard Yuan. I've got
Why
Phillip,
no
I've got
was the
Kenby.
support?
Yeah.
Oh, by the
okay,
way,
dude.
he was, and then he
No
just
disrespect, but
he just casually says Kisno, and I like go, what the fuck, Kisno? And Yanni does the same, and we're like, can you confirm that this is like, is he subbing in? And then Ice was like, yeah, this is a sub in here for Milk, and we were both like, all right, now we got to lock the fuck in. Right, like there was time to have memes on Drexer because we figured that Drexer versus Kenvi was going to be like a hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby matchup, but then it was like 2 atom bombs colliding with one another. Frankly, I don't even think Kisno was the reason they won that series. Like Kisno was obviously really good, and I think obviously an upgrade over Drexer, but Levitate, man, this guy is too fucking good to be here. I don't know why he's in ACL. I don't know why he's teamless for tier 2. It's a travesty of monumental proportions. This guy is insane. Like, goddamn, he absolutely stomped Instinct 2 games in a row. It was glorious.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. Good player. Dude's been great. Dude came back to tier 3 looking like he really did level up during his time in tier 2, and I think that's something that a lot of us said and a lot of us concluded, but you see it so clearly when he comes back to competing in tier 3. And now even back to competing against tier 2, as that's what he is playing against when he plays against Citadel, right? So very, very impressive stuff from him. Rest in peace, Gravity. We already kind of said our goodbyes to them. I think a great split from them all around. I still remain very excited for the future of guys like Fiji and Wenwin, and Redemption and what they'll be able to do in the future. But it's going to be the end of them for this split. And it does seem like these NACL teams are going to continue to kind of roll through everybody. And yes, I do kind of count Whole Milk among those ranks. Especially if they're going to be running Kisno, man. Especially if they're going to be running Kisno. But that leaves Lotus versus Sin Eternal Season, which I talked about a little bit when we talked about Lotus. It is a win for Lotus. It is a mega Robbie Bob carry series. I think they all come together by the end, but like Robbie Bob is the only reason they're competitive in game number 1. He's getting 1 million solo kills on season. And in game number 2, he mega carries again on the Victor. And, he's not too shabby in game number 3 either. The whole team kind of plays well in game number 3. But so much credit to Robbie Bob for pulling out this series and for keeping them in after they look really lost and messy in game number 1. They kind of they have a big lead from Robbie Bob, especially just solo killing Seasonal Leaves 4 times. And they kind of just over-aggress a bunch of times in a row and they punt it right back.
I mean, this is again what I'm saying. Like, I think that these newer organizations coming in and making it this far is like super impressive. Like, I did not think that Sin Eternal season were going to make it this far. Like, I do have to give credit over to them. Like, as the 14th seed, 14th out of 16th, by the way. Even though I'm willing to say they got a little bit luckier in the draw, right? Like, obviously they went up against the 11th seed and they went up against the 12th seed. Those are still technically upsets. So they upset that and then they take a game off of Lotus, which is something that not even the OQ team could do. So I have a lot of respect for this org. I have a lot of respect for this team. And again, like, similar to the situation with Gravity, like, just keep on going. Like, I think that these players in this org, I want to see them in fall. Absolutely.
100%. I concur, guys. You stole my
concur,
points.
Doctor?
I
Do you
concur.
concur,
Agree,
Doctor?
agree. All right, before we close out, any calls on CCG Supernova, which won't be played until, shoot, what is it today? It's Wednesday? Won't be
Friday.
played until Friday.
Yeah. So, I mean, I might try to get a co-stream going on this stream, on this cast, because I actually want to see this game, but I would probably give it to the fact that this is a best of 3 is fucked. I would probably give it to Supernova. I would say 2-1.
I think that's fair. I am only concerned that Supernova are boomed now that their run to attempted promotion tournament is over. Which could give whereas like CCG is amping up for their own promotion tournament. So I do think like those kind of opposite trajectories, like one team cooling down, the other heating up, could swing it for CCG. And you know what? I'll make a stand on that. I'm going to predict CCG 2-1.
I will be going with Gordo as well.
Fuck
I have to just use. I've seen so many times where the ACL and ACL like are polarized or they're swapped. So it's like how you're doing in one area is like. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Sorry, they're in 2 now. They're both tier 2. So yeah, I'll go CCG 2-1. Mainly,
Okay,
yeah.
guys,
So I think
Supernova
Supernova uses loss. I think Supernova could lose, and then I want to see how they look in their first BO5, because I expected them to play a team that they should just beat even if they're not in form. But if they look like they've locked back in because they do want to win ACL, I think it's going to tell a lot about what form we see Supernova in now that they're done with that ACL.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah, I think that's hard to doubt. All right, well, we'll find out what that form is going to be on Friday. Stay tuned to Twitter and elsewhere to find out where, if that is going to be streamed. I could also be convinced to get on a co-stream. We'll figure it out. We'll chat about it separately. I don't know what my Friday looks like yet, but I could certainly be convinced. Until then, thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. We will see everybody next time. It's going to be no Aegis on Monday, Tuesday. But will be NACL promotion tournament, so hope to see everybody there on the NACL stream next week. Until then, see everybody later.